spin.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And happy belated May the 4th, Kenton. It was Tuesday this year. We weren't able to record on May the 4th, but plenty of people did.
That they did, and I was wished happy May the 4th yesterday when I got my COVID vaccine because I had my Star Wars face mask, pandemic mask on, and the woman working there said, "So did you wear that thing on a couple days ago?" And I was like, "What?" I didn't know what she was talking about. She was like, because it was Star Wars Day. I was like, "Oh," and I went like, "Oh yeah, I did. I put a T-shirt on," and like halfway through the day, I remembered. I said, "But when you're not seeing anybody, it doesn't really make a difference." Right. So then it was my turn, and I said to her, "May the 6th be with you," I said as I walked away. And she looked at me, but you can't tell if anyone's enjoying anything because everybody's got a mask on. So it was hard to tell. I don't know if anybody enjoyed that. But I did hear the people behind me. One guy whispered to somebody else, "She's got a Star Wars mask on." About me. That's it. That's how I celebrated. I got a vaccine.
Congratulations on getting your vaccine. I have to say that I think that May the 4th, I was going to make a jump the shark joke here. It's funny because one of our former students tweeted last week that they thought that the definition of jumping the shark is the Joey and Rachel storyline on Friends that happened where those two were a couple for a little bit. And I said, actually, I think it's the part where Fonzie actually jumped a shark. I had to correct her and say that's the definition of jumping the shark, technically, because Fonzie actually did it. But I was going to say, I think that May the 4th is kind of jumped the shark a little bit, or it's almost at the verge of jumping the shark, because it's now permeated into mainstream culture. This is where, like, before it was just for the Star Wars fans. Really, we were the ones that were saying, "Hey, May the 4th be with you," ha ha ha. And like we would just do it for years and years. We've done this. Like it's been around for a long time. But I feel like these last few years, it's really gone into the public consciousness. All the brands are making jokes about it. Everybody's posting. TikTok was full of May the 4th videos. So I think it was nice to see. Obviously, you want to celebrate the fandom, but I think it's getting to the verge of like April Fool's joke territory where, remember, like those are done now. The April Fool's jokes are done. Nobody's like this year particularly, and last year there wasn't very many of them, and I think that's a good thing because that had definitely jumped the shark. That social media trend was played. So I think that's also going to happen to May the 4th. Maybe in the next few years, we're going to get sick of this and not want to do it anymore. We'll see. But I do have something to celebrate May the 4th that I saved for this podcast. And I bought this for myself. It's funny because I actually bought it for myself on my birthday. But I didn't open it because I wanted to open it up on the podcast. It's kind of like an unboxing and get my reaction here. And this is a blind box that I got from Walmart. This is a Return of the Jedi Star Wars blind box. It's actually a lunch box. You can see it's like it's made out of metal. And I picked this up for, I think it was $30 or $40 at Walmart.
A blind box is a surprise grab bag of Lord knows what, but it's all related to Jedi.
It gives me an idea here. It's got some things here. It could include this stuff, but I don't really know what's in it.
What might it include?
Well, let me. No, I don't want.
No, then we'll compare it to what you actually get.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, it says it would come. This one says it's going to come with a Darth Vader blanket, a Boba Fett helmet mini planter for a plant, Return of the Jedi. It looks like a poster print, which is cool, like the movie poster, an enamel pin. This one is of Jabba the Hutt. I would rather not have a Jabba the Hutt enamel pin. I don't know about you, but I would rather have a different villain.
I like pins.
I do like pins as well, but I don't know if I want Jabba the Hutt on my lapel here. And then the lunchbox itself. The lunchbox itself is an item. So let's open this up. Let's see what's in here.
I'll be disappointed if you don't get every one of those things.
Well, I'm hoping it's going to be different. I'm hoping it's not the exact items. Otherwise, what's the point of putting that on the outside if you're just going to tell people? This is I got to say, this is a nice, like a very nice, and this is, I believe this is poster art that was out when Return of the Jedi was being promoted, right?
Yeah.
It's this red backdrop, and it says, "The saga continues in your galaxy soon." Like that's a teaser poster for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. It says return and not revenge.
Right.
So it's the final poster. It's not the working title one.
Yeah, so I think that's very, very cool. So let's open this up and see what I got. It's first of all, it's a lunchbox, which I don't really need, but hey,
maybe there's a sandwich in there.
Oh, it's that's right. Straight from the cantina, they brought me a sandwich. It does look like there is a Boba Fett mini planter. So it is nice. Exactly what it said it was.
I like that.
It's kind of cool though. I'm gonna have to put a plant in this.
It's Boba Fett's helmet.
Yep.
And you stick a plant in the top of it. Is that what we see there?
Yeah, that's right. It looks kind of like it kind of looks like a coffee mug, to be honest. But it's about the size of a coffee mug.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's pretty cool, eh? Looks like that. And you can see it in there. It's got like the interior for a plant.
It's got a hole in the bottom, so the water drains out. So you cannot use it. It's a bottomless cup of coffee, literally bottomless, because it'll pour out onto your lap if you use it.
There we go. So I'll get a plant going on that. I'll keep you guys updated on my Boba Fett plant. Maybe give me some suggestions of what type of plant I should get to put in this. What is fitting for a Boba Fett planter?
Is there a Sebulba plant?
Oh my God. It is exactly. No, there's no Sebulba plant. It is exactly what it said on the outside. This is a Jabba the Hutt enamel pin that I got here. Oh man, come on. It's fine.
I like it. He's green.
Okay. He is green, very green.
Sometimes he's brown, sometimes he's green. In this case, he's very
I always thought of him more of as a beige color, like kind of a dirty beige. So there you go. That's the enamel pin.
When you hose him off, he's green.
I'm assuming everything else. So here's the blanket.
Oh.
This is cool. I like this.
That is nice.
It's very thin. It's very, very thin. But it's a very cool. It looks like a towel, but it is a very thin blanket of the again, more Return of the Jedi poster art. And then the print is pretty disappointing, I gotta say.
Oh, is it? Let's see. What is it?
It's very small.
Oh, so it's just a little postcard.
Very small. It's a little.
It's slightly bigger than a postcard. And it's the movie poster.
It is. It is kind of cool. I gotta say that, but it's
it's nice.
I thought it was gonna be something folded or something a lot bigger than that.
Did you establish how much you paid for this?
It was like $40.
Oh,
so. I think that it's probably worth it given the planter and the pin, but I just wish they wouldn't put everything on the outside. Like I said, this could be what you got. No, this is exactly what you get. So where's the fun in that? And so they had these this is the only Star Wars one, and I got it specifically because Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie, so that would be fitting. But they had ones for Mario and different things like that, like different properties. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, although I would say overall it's a little disappointing that it's the exact thing that was in there. So
no, but I'd be mad if it promised certain things and then you opened it.
But I'll keep that. I'll figure out a way to put that in the background of my shot.
Yeah, that's nice.
See it next to Baby Yoda there. So
I love it.
And Cara Dune, the Cara Dune Funko Pop. There we go. So I got a little bit of a collection going on.
How much is that going for these days?
I haven't checked. Last I checked, it was $75. So we're holding out. We'll hold out for some more.
I saw some clickbait this week that said she was coming back to the franchise.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
But I don't know. I didn't read it because I saw the headline. I was like, this isn't true. And I just moved on. And I only saw it. I saw it once on a not a reputable website. So I don't believe it's true.
Okay. So this it was May the 4th this week, and we had lots of Star Wars content from the source, from Disney. Disney Plus, we had new episodes of The Bad Batch, the second of which dropped today. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but also some other Star Wars content, including Star Wars Biomes, vehicle fly-throughs, and also they're putting like playlists together of all these like Star Wars inspired. Did you see this? So they have like all the Family Guy Star Wars episodes, all the Simpsons Star Wars episodes, anything that parodies Star Wars is also put into a list on Disney Plus as well, which is really cool.
Plus that new Simpsons short.
Yes. Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It was the Force Awakens from its snap is what it's called.
Right.
It's Maggie in a Star Wars themed daycare, so to speak. So that was fun. I have to say, I quite enjoyed The Bad Batch. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I was surprised. I surprisingly enjoyed it. Both episodes, the longer one, first episode, and then the one after it. I thought they were both quite good. And maybe, I mean, we have been making fun of The Bad Batch quite a bit. And I think when you have low expectations for something and then you watch it and it's actually decent, you're like, well, okay, I can be wrong. And I think the show looks great. And I think, I'm not hanging on every plot point like I would for a live action, but I like it. It's fine. It's good. It goes down easy.
Yeah, and the joke, of course, the Ninja Turtle joke is the one that comes out every time we talk about this, about how similar to the Ninja Turtles these guys are. But as I saw another TikToker point out that this trope is actually, there's a bunch of different properties that do the same trope of the leader, the smart one, the tough one, and the funny one. In this case, though, there is no funny one. The funny one is replaced by somewhat of the evil one, because that's what ends up happening by the end of the first episode. Now, this first episode is like an hour and 10 minutes long. Yeah. Do you think it was supposed to be a movie? Do you think they meant for it to be a movie and they just couldn't quite fill that time, or what?
No, I don't know. I mean, I think they knew all along it was going to be on Disney Plus.
Okay.
But, I don't think it needed to be that long, but it was fine. And I thought for Star Wars Day, you need something, I guess, a little more substantial. That's true. And it did kind of set up the whole story of the series here. So it's not just like a couple of one-off. The difference between this and the episodes of the Clone Wars is that was just where it was a short arc on a bigger series that was about much more than these guys, whereas this one just focuses in on them. I don't know that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle analog is quite accurate. It does seem like there is a very similar, like this guy, this leader, he is Rambo. Like there's no question, he is Rambo. He's even got a knife like Rambo has. Like what else do you need? He is totally the clone Rambo. And these other guys have much different kind of, they're not like, the muscle guy is more of a dumb, he's more like the Hulk than anything else, right? Just a dumb muscle guy. The Guardians of the Galaxy guy. Who's that guy? Oh yeah. Drax. Right? Right. Yeah. Sure. So that's similar kind of thing. Yeah, and then the smart guy is a pretty stereotypical smart guy. He is kind of like Donatello in that way. Yeah. And like I said, there's like these characters in every type of thing. So he's interesting. Well, now what I did point out on social media after I watched the first episode, the joke I made after, because I posted a Lobot themed video on my social media this week in celebration of May the 4th. But they have their own Lobot. They have their own half man, half robot guy. And he's part of the Bad Batch. And he's not, it's interesting because he's actually not, he's a regular clone. They call him Regs, the clones. He's a regular clone, but he's been modified so much that he's part of the Bad Batch now because he's been like, he's got cybernetic implants. His hand is I thought it was a screwdriver at first. And it looks like a screwdriver, but it's really one of those, port things that the droids use to stick, you know what I mean? Yeah. How they access things in the Star Wars universe. We have to have a larger discussion about that. That's just interesting. So there you go. So that guy, and I don't remember any of their names. Their names will come and go from my head as we progress in this, I'm sure. What I really like about it is that it tells the story at this time in the Star Wars timeline. We get to see what it was like at the beginning of the Empire. We're seeing lots of great details here about how they switched, how they basically they took all these clone troopers and brainwashed them all. Order 66, it wasn't just about killing the Jedi, it was about brainwashing them all to believe in the Empire. That was also an implant. It's the implant chip. Right. It was the implant chip. And some of them have it, and the Bad Batch don't have it, or the one of them does, right? That's why he's going wonky. The Bad Batch, what they say is the Bad Batch's mutations, they have it, but they don't. It's not effective. It doesn't work. And for that one guy, for the one sniper guy, the sharpshooter guy, Crosshairs, I think his name is. It affects him. He does want to obey the order, and none of the other Bad Batch do. They all have it. And we assume like the guy, the robot guy basically had it removed when he had his brain removed. He got lobotomized for his Lobot attachment. So yeah, that's the thing. And I thought that's really interesting to see that and how they're like, they basically, and then we see Grand Moff Tarkin show up and we go back to, I love that we went back to, what's the name of the planet where they're from? Yeah. Kamino. We would see the long neck aliens and see the whole clone production thing. And Tarkin comes in there and he's inspecting. He's like trying to determine whether or not they want to stick with the clones, or I assume that they're looking at the Stormtrooper training program at some point. This is in the early stages of the not very successful Stormtrooper training program, but they ended up going with. And this is one of the questions that the series is going to answer, I think, is what happened to all the clones? Because that is one of the great mysteries in the Star Wars. Ever since we had the prequel movies come out, you had to wonder, how do they go into the Stormtroopers from clones? I think they answered that question basically in that first episode, which is Tarkin was the human resources manager who wanted to figure out a better way to do things. And there, who knows what they were paying, paying on Camino to get all of those clones created. It had to be a steep price.
Yeah.
So recruitment would be cheaper. Although clearly the recruits can't aim a weapon, and
that's right.
That's
and
what we're going to hear about, right?
So we're going to say budget cuts was the cause. The budget cuts,
right?
That's what caused them to get rid of the clones. But my question is, what happened to the clones? Because even 10 years later into Solo, they're stormtroopers. They're all stormtroopers, and even Solo is fighting as a soldier for the Empire. So they're clearly not using clone troopers. But what happened to the clones is my question. Do they kill them all? Is that what's going to happen?
They turn off the chip at some point.
No, I know.
Actually, in the Clone Wars, they live shorter lifespans.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I haven't watched the Clone Wars in years, so my memory is a little sketchy on this. But I do believe that there was some storylines that went along with that idea.
Okay, because we've seen some older clones. We've seen Rex.
But Rex has had the chip removed.
He doesn't have the chip. Okay,
might be. Hey, who remember in the final season of Clone Wars, somebody gets the chip pulled out of them?
I think that might have been Rex. I think that was Rex.
Right, they put him under the thing.
Yeah,
and he gets it yanked out, whatever. And so I don't know. I'm not quite sure how one relates to the aging of clones. I don't remember.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's a billion Star Wars Clone Wars fans out there who do remember. But
what's interesting is that in this show they're exploring the idea that clones are defecting. They're abandoning their posts. They're going AWOL. This one clone they meet up with has started a family. He's got his family and he's got kids. He's married to a nice Twilight girl. And they have 2 other kids. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know why they would give these clones the ability to have offspring. I don't know. Maybe they're adopted. I don't know. But anyway, but it shows that they can actually have free will. They can actually break their programming. If they don't have the chip, they can break their programming and go off and lead a normal life. And you have to believe that there's more clones out there than just this one guy, right? There's got to be tons out there who've just kind of gone off the grid and just tried to hide from the Empire.
Yeah, it's interesting dynamic that they're exploring, I think. And I do think we're going to see, like at some point, and in today's episode, they mention Rex. And so we'll see him for sure in the series. And I also think we will see him, at the very least, we'll see him in the Ahsoka series that's coming up as well. So I think we're going to be we'll be spending lots of time with Rex moving forward.
Mm-hmm. I also like the other things from this episode about the Empire taking over, like the institution of these chain codes that apparently is the way to track everybody. So they're already trying to track everybody. They're limiting space travel. They're limiting people can't go off planet without a chain code. And they're like impounding spaceships. And these are the kind of details we'd never seen before. We didn't understand what the Empire did. But to me, it's amazing how quickly they're able to kind of transition between what was the Republic and the Empire. It's like night and day almost. They just switch over and they have this kind of, the new Empire is here to help you. And it's very much propaganda. And you can see that they're just basically taking away everybody's freedom. So it's kind of interesting to see this all happening like this.
Yeah, I kind of like, I also like seeing Order 66 from as many different locations. We've already seen it from a bunch of locations.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I like that. I like the impact of that and seeing it from different perspectives. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
What do you think the purpose is of? We're introduced to a modified clone named Omega, and she's a kid or baby. I don't know how old is that kid supposed to be?
I'm gonna guess maybe 8 or 9.
A kid.
Like that's kind of the idea. And
they keep saying they don't make clones for no purpose. So what's the purpose of that?
Well, hers
clone?
is something to do with healing. It's got to be so what it is, and the big reveal. This is kind of and I wasn't very surprised. I mean, she's got the accent. The accent is clearly a genetically a trait that is genetically carried on in all these clones. They all have the accent. That's just the one thing. But her face doesn't really look like. Well, she doesn't look like a female version. She is one of these Bad Batch clones. She's been modified. She's not a normal clone, and clearly she's much younger than she was taken out of the cloning vat. at a much younger age than they're usually. Oh no, actually no. Are they raised as kids? Or are they grown to? I think they're grown to adulthood. I think they are.
Well, we did see Boba Fett as Jango's son, and
yeah, that was the one unmodified clone that he wanted as his own son. But I think all the other ones are grown to adulthood and then educated and then sent off to war.
And that implies that they do age faster, right?
I guess yes, that's right. They accelerate their aging. So there's that. So they didn't do that with her. I'm going to assume aging, or they aged her to a certain point and then stopped it, but she's like an assistant to some of the other aliens there, but I think it has to do with healing. I think it's something medical. She's always involved in some kind of medical procedure or something like that. So I think that her ability is to heal. We just haven't seen it yet.
So it's a clone. It's a clone who can use the Force.
Yes, that's right. I think it is a clone that can use the Force to heal, specifically that healing ability that we've seen a couple times now in different things. So that's what that's going to be. But what I really think is she's there is just to give the kids a character to connect with. That's the only reason why she's there, is so the kids can have oh, hey, there's a person just like me kind of a thing. A character they can identify with to carry them through this. Because I mean, the big, at the end of today's episode, the guy tried to send her off with the family that they were sneaking off this planet, and she decides to turn away. And of course, you knew that was going to happen, right? That wasn't a surprise at all.
Not a surprise, no.
She's going to stay with the clones no matter what happens. They're going from, and I think that they set up a very good premise for a show. So clearly, this bad clone is going to come back at some point, as chasing after them or trying to catch them. And now we get to see them kind of navigate this part of the Star Wars universe that we've never seen before. The years, or the year maybe, I don't know how long the time frame is, like right around the time where the Empire took over. So we're going to see at different places what had happened and kind of stuff. So I find that part of it really interesting.
No, I do too. I thought there was only two things that really didn't quite work for me, and the first one's a joke. The first one was when I saw them on Camino. I was like, wait a second, could it be? And my hopes were deflated, because you'll remember one of our favorite characters to talk about is Dexter Jetster, who tells Obi-Wan that those folks on Camino are great cloners. And I was like, could we see his connection to the cloners, the diner owner who somehow knows a lot about cloning? I'd be like, that would be totally cool to see him here, but we did not.
No.
So and every time there's a situation where I think he could be involved, I'm always disappointed when it turns out he isn't. Anytime there's a diner in Star Wars, or we return to Camino, there's a chance that we will see Dexter Jetster one more time. So that disappointed me, and that's only probably for me. But the second thing, I love the animation, but the one thing that they can't seem to animate properly is the kids. The kids playing and jumping and having fun and going, follow me. And why does that look like that? And everything else looks nice and smooth. And actually, the color palette of the show is beautiful. It's great to look at. You could just put it on in the background and people would probably wonder what it is because it looks so cool. But for some reason, the animation on those kids, I guess they're trying to show them young and playful, and it looked weird.
I agree. Yeah, their expressions don't look realistic. They look more like toys or something.
Yeah,
or like older animation. Yeah, it's not great. And I include Omega in that as well. Like she's also like that as well. Not as good at animation as the other members of the Bad Batch. But I gotta say, I am starting to like these members more. Like the characters, I'm starting to get a little more insight into them and understand them a bit better. And I'm more interested in their exploits now than I was when they just did their little guest appearance on the Clone Wars. So I'm interested to see where this goes.
Could they show up in a live action?
Well, anything's possible,
and they
now.
might.
I years ago I would have said no, they're not going to do that. But now I'm like, who knows what they're going to do? Anything can happen. Literally anything can happen at this point.
With Filoni sort of helming and Favreau helming most of this stuff moving forward, all of the Disney Plus stuff anyway. That's what it seems to be the division now, is they have control of Disney Plus, and then Kathleen Kennedy is the film division.
Yeah,
or she's like sort of given them that part, and I guess they still report to her, but it seems like there's two different divisions. But as long as Filoni and Favreau are doing, and there's like 10 Disney shows in production. And I think as long as they're doing that, I think it's quite possible. And if these characters become popular, all the more so, it would be kind of cool to see them, I think, in live action. They could get Sylvester Stallone to play the main guy. Actually get Rambo.
But they would have to do the CGI thing on his face to make him look younger.
Well, no, because it could be later in the series, right? It could be later in the franchise.
I also have questions about the clones and how they seem to bald differently. Some of them are balding, some of them are not balding. Some of them have a full beard, some of them don't. It's just interesting how they differentiate these clones and how they all kind of seem to want to be individuals. That's something they've tried to kind of put forth at the beginning of all this stuff. They did that with the original Clone Wars series as well. Even though they are clones of each other, they do have different personalities, and that is very much the case here.
I like to point out that even though on Camino they figured out cloning, that's not a problem, but male pattern baldness continues to thwart their best scientists. Okay, can we get some Propecia down there on Camino?
Rogaine. A little bit of Rogaine over there.
Oh yeah, what's Propecia? Did I get that wrong?
I don't know. I assume it is. I'm assuming you know more about that than I do.
I'm losing. Yeah, you'd think I would, but I'm forgetting what my medications are for. All I know is I got injected with Pfizer yesterday, Dan, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. So I think I might have got the Order 66 chip.
That's right. Oh, good.
Yeah, I might have.
You'll be good. You'll be well up there. So anyway, I'm excited to see where this goes, and to see different aspects. It seems like we have a connection to the rebellion. We had an appearance by Saw Gerrera in the first episode, so that was interesting.
Yeah, do we need him to show up in everything, though? I'm a little sick of Saw Gerrera. I think we've had enough Saw Gerrera.
I think they're trying to establish him as the original founder of the rebellion. I think that is what his role is. So that it made sense for him to be there at that point to show that, basically to show how the Republic has changed. And that's what this is interesting about these clones who don't have the chip, who are navigating this whole world in which, everything's changed. They're the war is over, but yet they're still doing things like taking over planets and that kind of stuff. They're still on high alert. They go back to the main clone base and they see everybody is on board with this Empire thing, and they're like, what's going on? All this stuff is very, very cool. I really enjoyed it.
Rogue One would not take place that long after the Bad Batch episode we saw. And does Saw Gerrera look at all like Forrest Whitaker?
No, he looks more like the original version of Saw Gerrera that came out of the Clone Wars before they cast Forrest Whitaker in that role. It's funny because in the Rebels cartoon that came after, he looks like Forrest Whitaker. So at some point he goes through a great change. You know what I mean? And just starts looking like it's like the Klingons in Star Trek. They just all of a sudden look different. He starts
inhaling that. He's got that laughing gas or whatever he's inhaling on Rogue One.
Yep.
So that probably ages you. It's Star Wars meth or something.
But also it makes your skin darker and makes your nose different and everything else. It makes your hair different.
It makes you not run when your planet's being destroyed.
I wonder what was behind that decision, right? You have to think about it. They're thinking about, okay, do we make him look like Forrest Whitaker because that is who plays Saw Gerrera? I think that it was meant as a one-off. We're probably not going to see him again. It's just meant to kind of make the connection between this and the previous Clone Wars series. I don't think that we're meant to read anything else into that other than this is the start of the rebellion. But we will see them connect with aspects of the rebellion over the next, season or two of this series, right? So I'm sure that'll be interesting to see that play out.
And I also think that the opportunity for more than Saw Gerrera in where this series is located in the timeline, I don't mind. Before I say that, I'm done with Saw Gerrera, it's not really that. If Saw Gerrera is one of a bunch of cameos we're going to see, then I'm glad that we've seen that already. I wouldn't save that as some big reveal or something that.
Yeah.
So I think I think there's going to be more to come in terms of that kind of stuff.
Well, I think we're definitely going to have a Vader appearance at some point. Yeah. I think that'll be a given for sure. What else? I mean, they could, depends on how deep they get into the rebellion, but they could definitely throw a 3PO and R2D2 in there or whatever. There's all kinds of stuff they could do.
Do you know how many episodes we're talking about? I don't remember.
For the Bad Batch? I don't know. And there's no indication on Disney Plus about how many are coming or anything like that. I didn't even know there was going to be a new episode today until I looked on Disney Plus today and saw it. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch that. So there's no indication. All I knew that was the first one was coming out on May the 4th, which was Tuesday, and now we have a new episode. So we're going to assume that new episodes are going to come out on Fridays, like everything else has on Disney Plus. So
but not Loki.
Oh, not Loki?
They did a little trailer this week, and it was who plays Loki again? I can't think of his name. Yes. And he said, and the whole gist of it is Wednesdays are the new Fridays. so I guess Loki's going to come out on Wednesdays unless he's a trickster.
Oh yeah, he is.
So maybe he's tricking us. But I think it did seem to be, they did seem to be saying that. And I actually like the idea that Disney Plus is toying with like having release days. And so it's almost like a traditional network where it's like Wednesday is Loki, Friday is Star Wars. Like, yeah, you could start putting together. And it seems like Disney is producing shows galore. So as they start producing more, this could be an interesting approach to streaming that we've not yet seen.
A couple of Fridays ago, I made the joke that, TGIF used to be the thing to watch on Friday evenings. It was like a couple hours worth of entertainment, all these great sitcoms, Full House, Family Matters. And that's what people used to do, is sit there and watch the entire 2 hours without fail, while commercials and all. And now I'm watching, now it wasn't all Disney Plus at the time. It was Falcon and Winter Soldier. It was Invincible. It was For All Mankind. So that was like on 3 different platforms. And there was another one, Mythic Quest was the other one I was watching. They all came out on Fridays. So, but it was there, each of those is like an hour long. So it'd be like 4 hours straight of all these shows coming out. But yeah, I think it'd be better if they spaced it out a bit. I think that would be awesome, that they could put together a Wednesday night. Come Wednesday nights is Star Wars nights on Disney Plus, and they should do like one of those old school promos. Remember those promos used to do?
Oh yeah.
Tune in Thursdays.
Must see TV. Must see TV on Thursdays.
TV on Thursdays. Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome.
Cool. There used to be comedy. What was the comedy day? Comedy Tuesdays or something?
Yeah.
They tried to make Tuesdays Thursdays and were moderately successful. I remember Frasier saying, or one of the creators of Frasier, or maybe Kelsey Grammer saying that the show started losing viewers when it started getting moved around.
Yeah,
when
that usually happens.
Going like, let's try to move it to a Tuesday and see if the fans follow.
That never works.
People just get confused. They just stop watching.
But an interesting comment I had from somebody regarding the Falcon and Winter Soldier, or I think just in general, the Disney Plus releases, is that releasing it at like, I think what ends up being like 3 a.m. our time or something like that is not great, because the internet is full of spoilers within an hour of it going up. Everybody's watched it and is posting about it. In particular, I can't really go on TikTok until I've seen so many of the TikTokers I follow are talking about this stuff, and I want to hear those TikToks, but not until after I've seen the episode. So I wish they would like maybe stagger that release. I guess people would get mad about that if they did that. Anyway, what I noticed is that on CBC, where they advertise Gem, they also say it's on at 7 p.m. Eastern on CBC and CBC Gem. So I'm assuming that they release it at the same time on Gem as they do air it on TV. That's what I'm going to assume they do, right?
No, strangely enough, I was watching a show called Us, which is a good show with a week ending, but it was they're showing it on Sunday nights, I think, on CBC, and I like the show, so I went to CBC Gem, and they had the whole season already available there. So why show it there? Then I'm not even kidding you. The other night on PBS, they're like, coming soon to PBS, Us. I'm like, it's the same show. It's the same season of the same show. Now being distributed in Canada on CBC, in the US on PBS, and then the full season, like there it is to watch on CBC Gem, and BBC viewers who get that BBC BritBox thing. So
I get that.
See it all there. So it's like the choices to see that one are endless. So I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to it. Okay. I don't. CBC in particular seems to kind of be all over the map with it. Like, I never understand, if you got this big hit show that everybody's talking about, why bury it on an ad-supported streaming service that nobody knows about? And I think they're not very good at promoting it. I think most people don't even know what it is or even where to get it.
Getting back to Star Wars, though, they also released on Star Wars Day some other additions to the Star Wars content, including Star Wars Biomes and Vehicle Flythroughs, which I thought were pretty cool.
Yeah, I like them.
So what it's essentially just like the fly-throughs the biomes are they're all fly-throughs essentially. Yeah. They're basically just you're flying through a scene. The biome is various scenes from different Star Wars movies. So we have like the first one I think is Hoth. We have Tatooine. There's even stuff from the prequels there. We had Mustafar. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was
and
a
it's
good
like
one.
you're just flying through this scene, and you see like in the Hoth version, you see like you see people on Tauntauns, and you see the Imperial Walkers. So it seems to be like you're flying through just before the Battle of Hoth. That's what it looks like to me.
Well, you do hear gunfire. Yes. I guess there's a little bit. There's a little of that, and I think that was Uncle Owen selling droids.
Oh, is that right? Oh, yes.
Droids.
Well,
there's a little bit like that, but it didn't really like a couple of things. I thought it could have been based on one moment in Star Wars, and the other thing that I wish is we can control the speed or where we're looking or the direction, like a video.
Like game. When we're flying across Ahch-To, I'm looking on that island to see if I can see Luke somewhere. Right? You like want to see Luke at some point, and then on Mustafar, you want to see Vader. As they're flying by, like what I think this started is that they had to build these for the movies, right? They had to build shots of the Mustafar Castle for Rogue One. They had to build Ahch-To for The Last Jedi or whatever. So that's they figured, well, we might as well just release these and let people see it. This is what we're building for these movies. Let's just let people, and that's cool. I think that's really cool. But I just wish they put a little more detail in there. That we could, being able to zoom in would be cool, and being able to pause it and kind of like control where the camera is would be very cool.
Yeah, but I like it. I still like it. I think it's super cool. And the fly-throughs in particular, I could not tell if what I was looking at was a set or if what I was looking at was built in as a CGI thing.
I think it's all CGI. I'm pretty sure it's all CGI. Yeah. But it's really good. You
can't tell.
Yeah, it's really good, especially like the Millennium Falcon and the aging. Oh. Like this is the old. I would love to see a fly through of the new Falcon, like from Solo, like with the cape closet and everything, all the Lando stuff that's in there.
Great idea.
I love to see that, and I'm sure they could do that as well. But they got that like the old. It's the old Falcon. It's from like the original trilogy, and it's got like weathered. Like the leather is all like flaky and just everything's worn down. Han did not take very good care of that ship, right?
Well, once it crashed, I guess when it crashed on Solo was the beginning of the end,
right?
Which is when it started just looking like garbage, and I love that. And you hear the hubcap going, and then Lando takes off in it too. That's great. That's funny stuff. That stuff. I can watch that little part of the movie forever. It's so funny. Yeah. But I'd like to see that too. That's a really good idea.
So we can only assume they're going to continue with this. They have like this is said one season 1, Millennium Falcon, Star Destroyer. Maybe they'll release a little bit more of these every. I don't know how often they could come out.
I would like even more. I'd like it to go for 2 hours or something where you could just put it on your TV and sort of have it on in the background.
I would love for it to be a background on Zoom. Like they should absolutely make that a background on Zoom where it looks like I'm flying through Tatooine the whole time. Like that would be so cool. And
it's kind of calming to watch, actually.
I
thought it's like it kind of, for me, I was like, isn't it ironic that entertainment these days is they're just trying to get our attention and like battles and fighting and everything else. But the thing that held my attention most is something where nothing happens, which is just a flyover. And it's just kind of like, whoa, what am I looking at? Like the classic, if you want people to listen to you, don't say anything.
Yeah.
And then when you speak up, they're like, ooh, they're fascinated. That's what I sort of thought that Star Wars biome was, just kind of a cool thing that held my attention strangely. It's only 18 minutes long, I think. Mm-hmm. But I think I could have watched it for a couple hours or just had it on in the background and just let it play out.
Yeah, I would like to see. I'm sure it takes a lot of work and to create those. Like there's it's incredible detail and it's incredible. It looks really good. I can imagine doing that. Like imagine not being on like one of those rides where it like pretends you're flying, like they have this hang gliding ride where it pretends you're gliding. There's one at the Mall of America. Glide USA or something like that, where you hang glide across. Anyway, that would be cool in this situation. Gliding Tatooine, where you're like gliding across the Tatooine desert and seeing all this stuff. I'd love to see like a crate dragon like pop up or something like that. Now that we have established those are still alive in this universe, with the Mandalorian was actually one of my favorite ones. That was such a great calm, like, of that village, that little village they went to.
Yeah,
that was that was like my favorite, I think, of the.
It took me a while to figure out what it was.
Yeah, me too. I was like, what is this? Seems very strange. And I recognized those little ponds where they do their farming or whatever, their harvesting, and I'm like, oh, that's that little village from the Mandalorian. It's so cool.
Yeah, I thought it was Endor at first.
And you see Razor Crest touch down. You see it landing. Yeah. So at the very beginning of that episode, that's what we're doing.
At the beginning?
I think that's what that is.
I saw it at the end. I only watched it once, so I already mixed up the order.
Oh, but what I'm saying is that's the beginning of that episode. Like when he comes in Lions, that is when that episode begins, and they go off and defend. So
I thought that happened at the end. I thought it happened.
I don't know. I don't know when it happened in the actual biome. Yeah. All I'm saying is that marks the beginning of the episode. Of the actual episode of The Mandalorian.
Right.
But no, it's a lot of fun. So I hope they keep releasing stuff like this, and I think they will. It's going to be fun. I also watched the first season or whatever of the micro series, the Clone Wars micro series.
Yes.
Which is, again, very, very cool stuff. And it was actually, I don't mind that they put it all together. It does kind of makes more sense just to watch it all in an hour. It's about an hour long to see the whole thing. And it's really, really good. The animation is great. I started the second season. I've noticed quite a difference in the animation style in the second season, which is interesting. Qui-Gon Jinn in particular, wow, did they make his nose like this? He's got a giant nose. I don't know why they thought. I'm sure Liam Neeson was not flattered when he saw that.
He never saw it, trust me.
I'm sure. But so interesting, different style of animation or different style of art anyway. And that's, but I've only watched the first couple of parts of that, so I haven't seen the whole second part.
I love that stuff.
Well, it's really good.
Yeah, I love it. I have the action figure based on that series, and I just like I just not like the design. I just think the figures are cool and the design is cool, and it doesn't and even the thing like the big Qui-Gon nose, like it doesn't necessarily make sense. But I kind of like
figure like that. Does the figure look like that?
I don't think they made one of him.
Oh, okay. It's just a flashback scene. It's a very quick it's cool though. Like it raises the interesting questions about like parts of Anakin's apprenticeship that we never saw. So the scene we see in this episode is like him and Qui-Gon in front of a tree, very much like the tree that Luke has to go into in Empire Strikes Back. And Qui-Gon is telling Anakin that he has to go into the tree. And that's what that ends up being about later on in the series, I think, is Anakin facing this is about Anakin becoming a Jedi. And I think it's really, really cool. The second series seems to be more focused on that than the first series was. The first series was like just a bunch of different battles and just the chaos of the Clone Wars and kind of one-off episodes, whereas this second one is more coherent and more linked together story-wise.
Yeah, but I like them both, as I said. Like it's cool. I think it'd be a good thing if they kept making those kinds of animated shows. I love it. But we're getting lots of content. Actually, there's one piece of content that we didn't get on Star Wars Day, and I thought for sure we were going to get it. I kept like refreshing my phone all evening long. I was like, "There's going to be one more thing," and I thought we were going to get either an Obi-Wan trailer or an Cassian Andor trailer. I was like, it's going to be one. It has to be. So all day long, I'm like, come on. Let's see it. And even if it were Ewan McGregor standing there for 1 second in the robes, which presumably has happened already, I really thought we were going to get something, but they did not. They held back on that stuff. It's too bad. I wanted that. I wanted one live action trailer. That
would have been good. Yeah, that would have been, I think it would have lent maybe a bit more meaning to it. As far as like significant Star Wars event. I mean, as well as Star Wars is doing in Disney Plus, it would also be nice to have a little more movie news, right? Like I'm also kind of anticipating them releasing a little more detail about what other movies are going to be coming out. We only really know about one that's coming. So, and they're not
Squadron movie.
Yeah, the Rogue Squadron. They're not doing a celebration, right? They can't do celebration.
No.
So which is another place they usually announce these things. They also sometimes announce these things at Comic-Con, but that's not going to happen this year. So when do you think they would be announcing any of this other stuff? Maybe around the time that these other shows are debuting?
Well, they might still. I mean, they'll probably do a virtual celebration.
Have they done? I don't think they've done that. They've done they've done live streams and stuff, but I don't think they did anything for celebration specifically this year or last year.
No, I can't remember.
But actually,
it's all a blur.
Come to think of it, and I don't know if this is still the case or not, but they used to only do Celebration. Celebration was something they only did the same year that a Star Wars movie came out.
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe that's something that they're like holding to as well, because they have not had a Star Wars movie come out since Rise of Skywalker in 2019.
Well, we know Book of Boba Fett's coming out in December of this year, and so one would expect to be able to see a trailer pretty soon.
That one for sure. We should see something more. Although we already have a pretty good idea of what that is, because we have seen Boba Fett and some of the other characters in that already in the Mandalorian. Yeah. So we have a bit of a better idea of what that is, whereas we don't really know what Andor is going to be. We can imagine it's going to be like Rogue One. We can imagine Obi-Wan's going to be kind of like, I don't know, more like Episode 4, A New Hope, maybe something like that.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, but now that I think of it, I think probably if there would have been a live action trailer the same day, it would have taken all of the wind out of the Bad Batch.
Probably, yeah.
And I think so. So it makes sense. I mean, it sort of gave the whole day to the Bad Batch.
I don't know that the Bad Batch deserved the whole day, though. To be honest,
I know. I don't think. We're not the biggest fans of the animation stuff. We're more live action fans. Although we do watch a lot of the animated stuff, so maybe I don't know. Maybe we're more fans than I think, but. As a traditional Star Wars movie fan, I was really hoping for a little bit, a little sizzle reel or even behind the scenes at Obi-Wan. I was like, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to see anything.
We got that nice sizzle reel from Marvel this week, right? We got that nice little Marvel thing. That was something similar to Star Wars would have been awesome. Give us an idea of what's coming out, or give us a glimpse of all the stuff that's coming out.
I think Andor is perfectly poised for that. Because nobody is asking for that show. There's no like pent up demand to see Cassian Andor really. And so it's got it's sort of one of those shows that's easy. I think it's going to be easy to make people go, oh crap, this is actually going to be good. This is going to actually be something that I can't wait to watch. So that's why I thought, okay, if it's not Obi-Wan, then they're going to show us Cassian Andor or something there. Mm-hmm. But I guess not. I guess we're just going to keep waiting for that stuff. And maybe the next thing we see will be Book of Boba Fett.
Maybe. We'll have to wait. Yeah. I'm going to go find a plant to put in my Boba Fett planter.
For Mother's Day, are you going to give it to your mom?
Day, yes. My mom would love a Boba Fett planter. She would love it. I'm going to go do that. Anything else? Have you gone out to the world? We're about to go into lockdown again where we live, but have you gone out into the world to look for Star Wars toys lately?
No, only to get my vaccine. That's in fact, I felt it felt weird being out with a big group of people, like all standing in line for vaccines. Did, yeah. I mean, it's been it really felt weird. I have to be honest. It almost seemed a little bit like Comic-Con or something, where you're standing in this giant downtown convention center and you're all kind of waiting your turn. Boy, it wouldn't have surprised me if at the very end of it, they had like a cosplay competition or something, because it sure felt like Comic-Con. But no, I have not. I can't remember the last time I ventured out. It's been a long time. And I'm not sure why is our COVID count going up, Dan? Why does it keep going up here in Canada? We're not on the vaccines fast enough. I am. I don't know.
You and I are both vaccinated, so I don't think we have anything to worry about. We're doing our part. I don't know why, but we'll have to just ride it out. Maybe it's a good weekend to stay in and watch the Star Wars trilogy, the original trilogy again.
Oh, that'd be nice. That's always a plan. Yeah, I do it every summer, pretty much.
I do too.
Although there's so many movies to watch now.
Yeah.
How can you? It's now going to take way too long to watch all of them. Now you sort of have to parse it out.
Well, I don't generally have a full 6 hours to dedicate to just sitting in front of the TV anymore. But maybe when we're in lockdown, I will. That's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vedabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you in the ass.
That's no moon.
Now I am the master.